Hi, my name is Chase Baker and I'm currently a student with CollegePlus. When I first saw the topic for this year's video essay, I really had to think, what is that one thing that has changed my life? What is that one event that has made me who I am today? The first thing I thought of was the day I was born. I mean, that's important and life-changing, right? But I don't really remember anything from the first few years of my life, so how could I talk about that? So I thought more about it, and I have come to the conclusion that the one event that has changed my life and has made me into who I am today was a bus ride. I had wanted to go to a friend's house, but my parents weren't able to take me, so they suggested that I take the bus. Now at the time, I was 14 years old and I was fully capable of taking the bus to get there. But all I could think about was the challenges and responsibility that taking public transportation can hold. What if I got on the wrong bus? How do I know when to get off? What if I get lost? I was so drawn back by my fears of what could go wrong that I just decided not to go. That summer, the opportunity to take the bus came again when a friend and I wanted to go to the beach. Once again, my parents were busy and wouldn't be able to take us, but they suggested we took the beach bus, which would take us there in the morning and bring us back later that afternoon. I still didn't really feel comfortable with the idea, but at least this time I would have my friend with me. We set off the next morning to catch the bus. I was both scared and excited at the same time. I knew as soon as I stepped on that bus, there was no turning back. We were successfully dropped off at the beach where it was dazzlingly sunny and we enjoyed the cool, refreshing sea breezes. It was a day that forced me to realize what I would have missed out on if I had given in to my fears of the unknown. And I began to realize that the bus ride, even though I hadn't originally wanted to do it, had opened my world in more ways than I could ever have imagined. And I was beginning to learn that I could face my fears and enjoy the results. We made it back home safely and enjoyed telling everyone about our day. Now how is that life-changing? All I did was ride a bus to the beach and back. For me, this became something more than just a bus ride. I learned how to go out into the world with confidence. Before, I had let my fears and discomforts dictate what I would and wouldn't do with my life. 1 Corinthians 13:11 says, "When I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me." Or as C.S. Lewis put it, "I was like an ignorant child who wants to go on making mud pies in a slum because he cannot imagine what is meant by the offer of a holiday at the sea." I had acted like a child in letting my fear and also my contentment with my comforts hold me back from what God had in store for my life. Now, when new opportunities present themselves, I like to use the metaphor of stepping on the bus. It might be hard to get on and leave behind what you're comfortable with, but in the end, it is worth the trip. One of my favorite verses, Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." God has a plan for each of our lives, and He lays out the paths for us to take, but we still have to take them. It is not always easy, and it may not be something we immediately want to do. By following God's plan for my life, I have been put in some situations that I would rather not have to deal with. But the opportunities and experience I have gained have had a hugely positive impact on my life. Just recently, I was brought onto a 168 film project team as a production assistant. This was a great opportunity since I want to go into the film industry, and a production assistant is the bottom of the totem pole where you can learn the ropes. But here's where it gets crazy. The editor ended up not having enough free time to edit the film. So knowing that I had some editing experience, the director asked me to take over as lead editor. Wow, what an opportunity. But what if I ruined the film? What if my talents weren't up to par with other teams competing, and I would have less than 48 hours to edit this film to meet the deadline? Even with all these fears and doubts in mind, I still decided to get on the bus and see where it took me. And it sure was worth it. Our film is up for 12 nominations, including Best Film at the 168 Film Festival this August. This whole experience has had a huge impact on my life, and I'm excited to see where this path will lead. I am so glad that I stepped on that bus because the destination has been well worth the journey.